guys, welcome to the long-awaited Ranger build for the open world. This build is designed to be a hybrid support DPS spec. This one is a little bit more towards the damage side of the equation than support, although it does have a couple big features that we'll talk about that make it really useful in a open world situation. So it kind of blends the best of both worlds, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. The idea behind the build is that it is a high DPS build with a lot of, like I said, built-in support options that basically can do it all. It's bursty, it has good sustained DPS, good support, good survivability, lots of blocks, lots of evades. It basically can do it all, and it does it all well. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Alright guys, so let's talk about the gear for the Power Soulbeast for the open world. My recommendation is full Berserker with Rune of the Scholar. This is simply just going to be the highest DPS rune that you can get, and you'll find it's relatively easy to keep the Scholar bonus in the open world. And unfortunately this build, or fortunately as you might look at it, this build has really high natural crit chance, as we'll talk about when we get to the traits. So you don't need any of the runes like Eagle that might otherwise be an effective alternative to Scholar. As far as weapons go, we use Greatsword and Sword Axe, Sigil of Force and Impact on each set. As a supplement to the axe, I do recommend you have a Warhorn. The Warhorn can be used in between fights or at the start of fights before you get into combat to give you some boons to get going. And alternatively, it's a really minor point, but at the Octovine, currently the Octovine is bugged, and Whirling Defense doesn't actually hit the Octovine, and that's an important DPS skill for you. So it can be a situation where at the Octovine you would prefer to have Warhorn so that you can use Hunter's Call instead as a damage option instead of the Axe that would otherwise not be too terribly useful at said Octovine. And then trinkets, of course, are just going to be full Zerker. So it's full Zerker everything, very easy to gear, very accessible. If you only have exotics, you can just buy the stuff straight off the trading post, and it's a good way to get going. So that's it for gear. Very simple, very straightforward, and let's talk about traits. So for traits, we're going to use Skirmishing, Beast Mastery, and Soulbeast. In Skirmishing, Sharpened Edges is the pick because there really isn't any better choice, and it is a small DPS increase. Spotter is one of the main reasons that this build prefers Skirmishing instead of Marksmanship. Spotter in large events is going to be worth about 700 to 800 additional stat points, which makes it a very valuable trait, and worth quite a bit more than some of the personal traits you're going to get from Marksmanship. Additionally, taking Skirmishing is not a total loss because we get Hunter's Tactics, which gives us essentially a 10% crit chance, and then Vicious Quarry, which is going to be quite a bit of additional crit chance, as well as a lot of bonus ferocity. So the end result is that this build can achieve 100% crit chance in open world quite easily, and doesn't lose a ton of DPS compared to the Marksmanship build. You give up, I think it's about 7 to 8% of personal DPS for the ability to bring quite a bit of additional crit chance to your Zerg. And the end result is you're really only looking at like 2,000 damage reduction personally to get quite a bit of damage boost to the rest of your squad. In Beast Mastery, we take Resounding Timber, then Two-Handed Training, which is great for our Greatsword stuff, and then Honed Axes, which is awesome since the build does definitely make use of having Sword Axe. And then in Soulbeast, we're going to take Live Fast, because your quickness might and fury might not always be 100% uptime in even in big group events, and so this is just going to help top you off. Essence of Speed will increase the duration of other boons on you. This is also very powerful in the open world, because you do quite often get your quickness going up and down, and so gaining the quickness and boosting the rest of your boons is just going to give you greater uptime of all your boons in general. And then, of course, Oppressive Superiority is going to be a really good boost to your damage. You could make the argument for Leader of the Pack. However, I don't think that one wolf pack is going to be enough to justify losing 10% DPS. If we weren't going to be bringing a spirit and we were going to bring, say, Vulture Stance, maybe you would get enough value out of it. But I think Oppressive Superiority in the power build is the way to go. So then moving on to skills, the first thing we're going to do is look at the pet that we bring, which is the Gazelle. The Gazelle gives us some of the best beast skills, as well as giving us boosts to the best attributes. So the Gazelle is the overwhelming top choice. Heal skill is going to be Heal as 1, which is just pretty much the best open world skill for a ranger. Frost Spirit, one of the reasons that we play this build is to be able to take Frost Spirit, which is going to be a very big DPS increase for our Zerg at any event, and so Frost Spirit is quite clutch. Signet of the Wild, very good, powerful utility. It's going to give us passive ferocity, which we like. And then Sikkim, which is one of the keys to the build when we talk about the rotation. It is a massive, massive DPS bonus, and when used properly, it will make your damage skyrocket. And then One Wolf Pack, a bit less impactful than Sikkim, but still quite powerful, and that is the elite skill that we'll go for. And again, when we get to the rotation, I will show you when and how to use that. So then that is it for traits and skills. So let's talk about buff food. So ideally, the best buff food with this build, since we cap our crit chance, is bowls of sweet and spicy butternut squash soup and the appropriate power sharpening stone. If you are on a budget, I would recommend the avocado smoothie, because they are quite a bit cheaper to craft, and they are just nearly as good as the sweet and spicy, and it's pretty much the best alternative that you can get. So with that said, I want to go over the rotation a little bit. If you would like to further your education on the rotation, feel free to check out some of the raid and fractal guilds that make build guides, like Snow Crows and Discretize. They will have very thorough rotations. I'm just going to be giving you the basics that you can use during your open world experience, but if you want to dig deep into it, I definitely recommend that you utilize those resources. So stick around and we will talk about the rotation really quick and then wrap it up. So the basis of the rotation is that we get the most damage in during Sikkim that we can. As you're going to see, we will start with Sikkim and One Wolf Pack and use our Greatsword Burst, using Greatsword number 2 followed by Greatsword number 5 to refresh 2, and using 2 immediately again. It's a very big burst under Sikkim, and you can see how hard it can go ahead and hit. Then we use F3, which is a big burst. We'll swap to Sword Axe, use Axe 4, and then Axe 5, which will do quite a bit of damage during the Sikkim. Then we will use our 2 F skills, F1 and F2, for a little bit more damage. And then we're going to sword auto attack with our one-handed sword until our weapon swap is up. When the weapon swap is up, we're going to use Greatsword 2 and 4, as you will see. And then at this point, we're going to hold off on using Greatsword 5 until Sikkim is off cooldown. So it's going to be a little bit of Greatsword noodling here, and then I think we'll be able to get one more Greatsword 2 in before Sikkim comes off cooldown. And then here we go. You'll see the rotation repeats itself. We are going to fire Sikkim, get Greatsword 2, Greatsword 5, Greatsword 2 again, F3, and then we're going to go back to Sword Axe for 4 and 5. And then we'll use the F1 and F2 beast skills. And it basically repeats like that the whole way around. It's an endless loop, and it's really straightforward and really easy. So hopefully that is it, and you can kind of practice this and get pretty decent at it. The most important thing to keep in mind is that Greatsword 5 will only refresh your cooldown of your number 2 if you're flanking. That can be easy or hard depending on how it goes, and if you can't reliably flank, you can just modify the rotation a little bit to have obviously less usage of the exact skills that I use, and just try to stay focused on the idea of getting your most powerful skills in during the Sikkim. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. Again, check out Discretize and Snow Crows if you want more in-depth rotation guide for this video, for this build. But this is a pretty straightforward and easy loop to do, and you can get really good at doing it in a very short amount of time. So anyway, guys, stick around and we'll wrap this video up. Alright, so in summation, the reason to run this build is that it has very high mobility, very fun and nice looping rotation that you can get really good at and learn and practice, and it has good burst capability as well as good sustained DPS. And additionally, it has really nice group buffing capabilities with Spotter and Frost Spirit, which makes it a valuable build at the open world events. So it really has it all. It's got good bursty DPS, which people like in the open world. It's got a lot of blocks, a lot of evades. It has good CC, and it has group buffing capability. So it really does do it all, and it's a very easy build to recommend to Ranger players that want a powerful build for open world events, as well as any other use that you can get out of it. And it does also translate to raids and fractals pretty well, in that you pretty much just have to switch around one trait line, and then you are 95% of the way there. I think the raid build is going to use slightly different gear, a little bit more Assassin's pieces, but otherwise it's a very simple transition. So with that said, hope you guys enjoy this, and if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.